sometimes I think that when the weather chills down, it's a little disappointing because there's not as many fresh things that you're able to get out of the garden and whatnot. But I also truly enjoy the success of what I've done during the summer as far as putting things up and being able to pull things out of the closet or the pantry and enjoy what we have, the fruits of the labor, so to speak. What we're going to do today is called a Greek skillet. Now, it's not actually truly Greek. It doesn't have lamb in it, for one thing. We're using ground beef, but it gives the essence of a Greek meal in that it has many of the same flavors that would be used. I have a pound of very lean ground beef that I'm browning up a little bit, and before it gets too dark, I'm going to add to it 1 medium yellow onion that's been chopped up, and also 2 cloves of garlic that we've minced fairly well. And those we're going to brown together. Now, if you've gotten a very lean ground beef, you won't need to worry about draining it so much, but if you're using regular ground beef or even just regular lean, you probably, after this gets browned up nicely, are going to want to drain all the fat away or all the liquid away. But do make sure that you let it brown enough that it actually begins to get some of that brown color on it, because it gives it a little extra flavor, and you'll actually enjoy it better if you give it a little bit extra time. Next thing we're going to add to this is about, 1 cup of water. And I'm going to add that now so that the other stops browning. I don't want it to go too far. Also to it, we're going to add 15 ounces or about 2 cups of tomato sauce that you've either put up yourself or that you've gotten from the market. If you either put it up yourself or get it from the market, I really suggest that you use one with no salt added. It can reduce the amount of sodium that comes into this dish by 200 to 300 milligrams per serving, and that's really substantial if you're looking at keeping the sodium content of your diet down. Now, also to this, we're going to add some orzo. Now, orzo may be a little bit more difficult for you to find. Orzo is actually a pasta, not to be confused with ouzo, which, as I recall from watching Barefoot in the Park, is a fairly strong Greek alcoholic beverage. But you can see it looks, to me, it looks a lot like Rice Krispies. It also looks a lot like rice, and in fact, when it's cooked, it looks very much like rice. So we have a cup of orzo, and that's, as I said, just a pasta, and it's going to cook up in here during the cooking process. I've got 2 teaspoons of dried oregano leaves, about 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper, and then to make it really a Greek flavoring, I've got a 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Stir all of these together. Make sure that you've got the orzo, just like any other pasta. When you cook it in a 1-dish meal, make sure that you've got it under the water. If you don't have quite enough water or liquid to completely cover it, then add a little bit more, and you may need to add more as it cooks. We're going to spread it out here and come back and stir it fairly often, but put a lid on it and let it simmer for about at least 11 minutes in all probability, and then taste the orzo to make sure that it's completely cooked through as you would with macaroni or spaghetti or any other pasta that you're familiar with. Bring that up to a simmer, turn it down, and let it go. Once you've checked and make sure that the orzo is soft enough and that you're happy with that, notice how much it is swollen and that it does look like rice. And it's really great. The last thing we're going to add to this is some feta cheese. I've got about 1/2 cup of feta, and I'm going to just crumble it up. Now, one thing I will advise you, you can buy feta a couple of ways. One is already crumbled, and the other one is in a block. No one should ever buy it crumbled because it is so easy to do, and the crumbled costs about twice as much. So it's not like you require any special equipment. You just put it in between your fingers and do this, and you have the same thing for half the price. This is going to put the lid back on this, let it sit, 2 to 4 minutes. Remember to have the heat turned off while you're doing this so that it doesn't scorch on the bottom. And this is going to melt and soften up just a little bit, and you'll be ready for supper. You can see this doesn't truly melt, but it does soften up, and it does nicely and warms up. We're going to move it over here and serve it up. This becomes a 1-dish meal. Serve this with some bread and a green vegetable or a nice salad, and you should be able to get about 6 servings out of here. Something nice and warm for a nice winter or fall evening using the fruits of your labor from all that work last summer. For Oklahoma Gardening, this is Barbara Brown.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.